Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wolfpacker Show. My name's Ethan McDowell. I am here with Noah Fleischman. And folks, we were just looking down at the calendar. We are 8 days away from NC State kicking off its 2024 football season. Today, it's our annual season predictions episode. It's one of my favorite episodes of the year. We're both going to go on record. We're going to pick who's going to lead the team in receiving. We're going to pick upsets. We're going to pick potential trap games, X factors for the team, players we see breaking out into star roles, and much more. Before we do that, I want to quickly mention that we're both reporters for the Wolfpacker.com. That is NC State's site on the On3 network, the fastest growing college football, basketball, and recruiting website out there. We have written so much season preview content over the past couple of months, so I implore you to go check it out on the Wolfpacker.com. You can sign up for monthly or annual memberships on there, so go check it out. We almost always have some sort of subscription deal going. So go check it out and see what kind of nice deals you can get there right now on the wolfpacker.com. It is well worth the money to join our growing message board community and see, premium recruiting scoops, team analysis, and full coverage on game days, which are rapidly approaching. Noah, just want to get a quick temperature check from you before we dive into our predictions here. How are you feeling, man? It was a short summer. Football season's here.
Short summer, yeah. Feels like I was in Omaha like last week. Now football
Yeah.
season has arrived. Baseball went long, football comes early. We're here. We're finally here. Game week is approaching. NC State has their first game week press conference on Friday. And then after that, it gets rolling into next Thursday against Western Carolina. But feeling good, excited. Finally, we can stop talking about practice and talk about some games because we're almost there.
Some real live football. Yep. It's been fun to kind of cover the behind the scenes noise about the scrimmages that have happened over the past couple of weeks. They were in Carter Finley Stadium for the first time last Thursday, kind of sticking with the game week schedule since they are going to play, of course, on August 29th, a Thursday, against Western Carolina. They started their prep for the Catamounts yesterday. We're recording this Wednesday, August 21st. They started on Tuesday. So they're going to get a little over a weekend of Western Carolina prep. They're treating it as any other game, and we will too. We're going to switch over our podcast schedule to our regular season schedule next week, where we're talking every Sunday after a game, and then every Thursday, kind of previewing every matchup. So next week, it's going to be a little weird. We're probably going to put it out on like a Tuesday, so you guys have a couple of days to listen to our Western Carolina preview. But when it's a normal game week schedule, it'll be Sundays and Thursdays. So there you go. That's all the housekeeping for today. Let's dive into team predictions for 2024. Noah, you weren't here yet, but last year, my proudest prediction, and I'm still proud of it to this day, was I said that Brennan Armstrong was going to lead the team in rushing. Matt sat on the podcast and called me crazy, but hey, look at us now. It ended up coming true. So I'm just taking that as we're going to go 100% in our predictions today. And we're going to start off with a big one. We're going to talk about a team MVP. Noah, who's going to be NC State's most valuable player in 2024?
It's the easy answer, but Kevin Concepcion. He was their MVP last year. He's primed to do it again this year on the offense. He does have more help around him, but he is still one of the most elite playmakers on the team and in the conference. He
Yeah.
received the most amount of all ACC votes of any player earlier this month when he was named the first team or the preseason ACC team. So expect big things out of him. Everyone around the conference does, and nationally, he's making buzz too. The Athletic put him on their second team All-American. So he's the guy that's primed to continue that upward trajectory. And if he has another breakout year, Ethan, I think NC State's looking pretty good.
Yeah, it's a topic we've debated back and forth on. While he's not going to be the 100% focus of the team, he's still going to be a star. He's still Kevin Concepcion. He is going to be a walking big play, a walking touchdown on the field this fall, and things might just get easier for him. And don't forget, like he was. I hesitate to say like hurt, but he was banged up down the stretch of last season because the workload was so high for him. So, he should be healthier. You're not going to be asking so much out of him. It should be just as big of a season in theory this year, even with the new weapons around him. Um, I think it's interesting that we're both going to go non-quarterback here, and I don't think that's any sort of indictment on Grayson McCall. I think we both think he's going to be really, really good. But I'm going to pick Jordan Waters here, the Duke transfer, the graduate student, ACC veteran, just has so much experience in the conference. He's a leader on this team, represented the program at ACC kickoff earlier this summer, and I just think he's going to lead the resurgence of NC State's ground game. I think he's going to have a great year in a really talented running back room. He scored 12 touchdowns for Duke last year. I think he could reach that mark again this season and be a consistent red zone threat. He's a 3-down running back who can impact the game on the ground and through the air. And in talking to folks around the program, both publicly and off the record, I mean, everyone says something to the effect of he is a grown man. And you can see that. We saw that in the spring game. He was explosive, he was powerful, and he's someone that can be your like 3 yards in a cloud of dust guy when you need him to be. But when he breaks off to the second level, it's going to be really tough to catch him. So I think he's a complete running back who is exactly what NC State needs to kind of get rid of the rushing woes from the past couple of years where they really struggled on the ground at times. I mean, I mentioned at the top of the show, like their leading rusher was a quarterback last year. That's not going to be the case this year. Jordan Waters is going to be really good. And I think we're going to look back on the 2024 season and say he was the most valuable player on the pack. All right. Next one, a surprise breakout player. I feel like we've talked about all of the like potential surprise players. So if you're an avid listener to the Wolfpacker Show, these aren't going to be surprise breakout players to you. But Noah, who's your pick for a breakout player that folks might not be talking enough about?
Give me Brandon Cisse, quarterback. Played a little bit, pretty much every game last year, but wasn't a starting role, just in the dime package nickel or dime package corner. I think he is going to be a breakout guy. He's going to play really well. He's going to get targeted a lot, at least early in the year, with Aiden White on the other side. Teams are going to try to pick on a guy who's inexperienced at outside corner compared to the guy he's playing on the other side of. And so I think we'll have to see a breakout star in Brandon Cisse. And if I'll make a bold take right now, I think he ends up on an all-ACC team by the end of the year.
Yeah, I like that. I think just like the opportunities for ball production for him are going to be so high, like you said, right? Like it's I just Aiden White's going to be Aiden White, and I think by the end of the year, everyone's going to be speaking very highly of Brandon Cisse. Totally agree. He could end up on an all ACC team this year. He will be a really, really solid player at a minimum as a true sophomore, by the way. It's rare you see folks talk about a true sophomore this highly as with such little experience as they have with Brandon Cisse. So expectations super high for him. Very, very high. I'm going to go I'm not going to frame it as breaking out as a star, but I think he's just going to break out and play a valuable role on this team. I'm going to pick Keenan Jackson, the freshman wide receiver, former 3-star recruit, came out of Weddington High in Matthews, North Carolina. In last time he played a competitive game in Carter Finley Stadium, he was winning a 4A state championship last December, and now he is going to play a pretty important role this season by all accounts. I mean, he has been taking reps, 2 deep reps during camp, and I think the true freshman could play a valuable backup role behind that like top 3 of Noah Rogers, Wesley Grimes, and Dakari Collins. NC State's going to need at least one more outside receiver to step up, but I think Keenan Jackson could be that guy. He's already physically prepared for college football at 6'3". He's a big-bodied receiver who can go up and win jump balls, has solid speed, and it sounds like he's showed off some impressive route running this fall as well. He's someone that just continues to improve, made a big jump from the spring to the fall, and is someone that when the first depth chart releases this week or next week, it's going to be very clear that he's going to play a role, in my opinion. So he's my pick for a breakout player. NC State won't have a ton of freshmen playing this year, but Keenan should be one of them, and I think he's going to really impress Wolfpack fans. All right, kind of related, but kind of not. We're going to talk about X factors next. Someone that, Noah, in your opinion, that could swing the season. Someone that their performance, them playing well, could add wins to NC State's win total. them playing poorly could subtract wins from the win total. Who is someone that you view as an X factor on the 2024 Wolfpack?
It's going to be Sean Brown at linebacker. I think it's going to be
Yeah.
him. He's filling in some big shoes of Peyton Wilson, and they're not going to ask him to do everything Peyton Wilson did, but he's going to have to do a lot, at a new position and play well. If he plays well there, I think he could be their best linebacker on the team. I really do. I think he's capable of being that.
Yeah.
But it's a new position for him. He hasn't played a full season of that, so it will be interesting to see. But everything we've heard seems positive. But I think the defense hinges on how well Sean Brown plays. He doesn't need to play Peyton Wilson. He does not need to be the Butkus Award winner this year, but we need to see an above-average linebacker out of him if the defense wants to hold their standard that Tony Gibson, preaches every day.
I also picked a linebacker, but not Sean Brown, even though I think he is a very, very good pick. I went with Caden Fordham because NC State has enjoyed such excellent play at Mike and just at linebacker in general over the years. Just being able to have Isaiah Moore there for so many years was just such a luxury for NC State, right? Because you knew that you were just going to be excellent at that spot, reliably excellent all the time. And this 3-3-5 defense needs its linebackers to be excellent, and Caden Fordham needs to be that guy. Over the past couple years, we've heard plenty about him, right? But he has been someone that the coaches have had high hopes for, high expectations for. He showed flashes last season, but we need him to put it all together for NC State this year. I think he will play a huge role in the Wolfpack's success. I think, Noah, were you going to say something on Caden there?
Yeah, I was going to say, he's important not only in that position, but he's going to have the green dot on his helmet. He's going to be calling the defense, and that's an important position to be in. Middle linebackers in the NFL all do it, and they do it at a really high level. And now it's just they trust him enough to do it, which I think says a lot about what Caden Fordham can do this year. But that's a big, big task. Obviously, they're still going to have some signals, and the defense can still do stuff. But he's going to hear Tony Gibson in his ear every single play, telling him what to do and what's going on. Because Dave Torn talked about it with us over the summer. They're going to feed these guys information more than just, okay, here's the play call. Like, they're going to point things out as they can. They're not going to give them everything, but they're going to point things out. I think it's important that Caden is going to be a good communicator. And I do agree that, he's going to be a big deal for them. But he had a breakout game at Virginia last year. And I think if he can replicate that, week to week, I think it'll be, really, really good for NC State.
He was just up and down last year. Like he would have a few games where he was really, really excellent. I thought he was really good all season long in run support, especially.
Yeah.
So if he just takes a step forward and the passing game as he continues to improve, continues to gain more experience, which I think he will. The ability was clearly there. Just needs to put it together on a consistent basis to rise to the level of the lofty Wolfpack linebacker standard. My honorable mention for this category was going to be Devon Betty, which is just funny that our three X factors, just the three linebackers, because we've talked about how much that position group could really dictate the success of this defense and the team overall, because it's not something that Wolfpack fans have had to worry about in like 6-7 years. Like it's just it's uncommon to have that level of consistency at a position group for this long in college football, especially current college football with the way rosters turn over these days. But I think having Tony Gibson there, you just got to have a baseline of faith. He is a very good linebackers coach, one of the best in the country, if not the best. So Wolfpack fans, encourage you to put your faith in the Wolfpack defensive coordinator, and we'll see how these linebackers develop into the fall. It should be a very interesting position group to watch because we're talking like they're all inexperienced. And while they are to an extent, like Devon Betty is a senior, Caden Fordham's a redshirt junior, Sean Brown's a redshirt junior. Like that, they're upperclassmen. They have played plenty of college football. This is just going to be the brightest the spotlight has ever been on any of them. All right, we are going to then turn to a few more like big picture, kind of like schedule related questions. But before we do that, I want to say a quick thank you to our sponsor, Game Time. Game Time is a ticket buying and selling platform, where you can find tickets to NC State season opener against Western Carolina. You can find tickets to a concert, a comedy show, a Durham Bulls game, whatever you want, you can find on the Game Time app. You can find it on any app store or on your web browser at gametime.co. That's not .com, that's .co. It's a critical difference if you're trying to find Game Time. And I use it. Noah uses it. Super easy. I really enjoy the ticket buying process on there. My favorite part of it is that when you go to buy a ticket, it shows you the view from your seat that you'd be buying. I was looking for concert tickets yesterday, and I was going online, and at first I ended up on another ticket buying site, and it was like, well, I haven't been to this arena before. Like, what would my view from this seat look like? And then I was like, what am I doing? I'm just gonna go look on the Game Time app, and I'm gonna show you what it looks like. I'll hold up my phone for those watching on YouTube. You can see that if you bought these tickets to state season opener, you'd see exactly the view from your seat. It's great. Takes a step out of the ticket buying process. It's something that I really appreciate about the platform. There's already good deals on there, but to sweeten the deal even more, when you look at it for the first time, go and use code Wolfpack. That's all caps Wolfpack when you check out. You'll get $20 off your first purchase. Makes a good deal even better. So again, that is Game Time. Search it up on any app store or look it up on your web browser at gametime.co. All right, Noah, back at it. We're going to talk about some schedule questions during the second half of today's show. The first one, I want you to pick an upset, a good upset, I should say, someone that NC State is not currently favored against, that you could see them leaving with a victory.
Yeah, I think it's Clemson down in Death Valley, week 4. ACC opener. You want to start the ACC on a good stretch. That's the game to do it. NC State hasn't won in Death Valley since 2002. It's a long time, Ethan. They're due, and they've got the weapons on offense to do it. Defense, we'll see. I think that's going to be what will win the game down there. Will be the defense and how they play against Clemson's offense. They played well against Clemson last year. Got the win in Raleigh. Big win against Cade Klubnik. Peyton Wilson obviously had a pick 6 in that one. The highlight of the game. So we'll see what happens. But I think Clemson is the upset I would pick. Sets the tone for ACC play. And if they win at Clemson, 8-0 in the league is very, very doable by that point. And then an ACC championship appearance could also cover that point.
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is there's not many upset games to pick on this schedule because the schedule is pretty favorable for NC State. There's just not many games where they're going to go in as an underdog, at least based on what we know about all of the teams going into the year. And so the really two big options you have are Tennessee and Clemson, those two early September tests. And I'm also going with Clemson. I think that is the more likely upset. I agree that they are just due at a point. They are just due to win one in Death Valley. It's such a fun environment, such a fun place to cover a college football game. So I'm looking forward to going back there. But I think the Pack will go there, avenge the letdown loss that was that 2022 top 10 matchup. And I mean, we both sat in that press box last year, Noah. They had Cade Klubnik's number. He looked really, really bad against NC State. It's possible that he takes a step forward just overall this season. It's possible that Clemson kind of just returns to the form that they were at when they were competing for national championships. That's all very possible. I think this is going to be a very good Clemson team that NC State takes on in Death Valley, but I think NC State is pretty dang good too this year. So I'm picking the Wolfpack in that game against the Tigers. I like their shot to go in there and pull off an upset. And like you said, a headlining ACC win. If you win that one, even if you drop the game to Tennessee, then you're going in. All of your goals are right in front of you, and you're looking at a potentially special season for the Wolfpack. Going off of our point about how the schedule is a little bit easy at points, there's still some good picks for a potential trap game for the Wolfpack. So we're going to flip the previous question on its head. Noah, what's a game where NC State's favored, where you're looking like, oh, I don't know, man. I don't know. This one could get a little dicey.
Yep, we go to the end of the year. I'm going to pick Georgia Tech, the last road game, or no, second last road game. They played at Chapel Hill this year. I'm going to go to Georgia Tech, Thursday night, ESPN, big game, 7:30, under the lights in Atlanta. I think that's the game that could be checking.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good pick. I also had that one written down as a potential option just because Georgia Tech's going to be feisty this year. I mean they were feisty last year. They beat Miami on the road in one of the more comical finishes I've ever seen in a football game, where Miami could have just needed out but didn't. And they're a solid team. Like Haynes King is a good quarterback, and Georgia Tech's a program with a lot of momentum around it, and it's a late season road game where UNC's next week, right? So there's just a lot of potential factors there, especially when there's 12 days in between NC State's matchup with Duke, that senior day game, and the game against the Yellow Jackets. I am going to go with a couple games earlier. I'm going to pick the Cal game. NC State's road trip to the West Coast against the ACC school, noted Atlantic Coast Conference program, Cal Berkeley. I think it's just it's kind of the schedule worked out in a weird way where they're going to go a really really long time without a bye week. They play at Cal October 19th. The next week is their first bye of the season, and last year, I think Coach Doran said that before the Duke game was the longest he had ever waited to have a bye week. I think this year is even longer, if not the same. So you're
One
looking
week
at it, it's like,
longer.
all right, they're going to have to really, really be resilient down the stretch here. They going into that game, they play Wake Forest and Syracuse leading into that matchup with Cal, both at home. So it's 3 straight home games before that matchup, but still, it's like, oh man, that you're gonna have a tired team. You're going across the country. I don't think the travel really matters that much. Like you can travel pretty comfortably cross country these days, and the time difference I think is overblown. That doesn't really matter. But playing Jaden Ott certainly does. Cal's running back is really freaking good. He was an All ACC pick for me, and I think he is someone that could get hot, could potentially wreck a game for the Wolfpack. So keep an eye on that game. Cal isn't going to be an ACC contender, but they could be a solid team this year. So keep an eye on the Cal game and the Georgia Tech game as the 2 trap games for this season, 2 ACC matchups for the Pack. All right, we're going to go into categories every week. Noah and I like to predict who's going to lead NC State in rushing, receiving, and tackles. It's an integral part of our preview pods. We're going to do it for the season right now. So Noah, start us off with rushing. Who's going to lead the Pack in rushing yards? And don't tell me it's going to be Grayson McCall.
Hot take, it's going to be a running back. I know,
Yeah.
surprise. A running back will lead the team in rushing. A year ago, Kendrick Raphael had the most yards as a running back, and he was 3rd on the team in overall rushing, behind a quarterback and Kevin Concepcion. This year, it's not going to be that way. This year, Jordan Waters will be the bell cow. He is going to be the guy that gets the ball, and he's going to be the guy that leads the team rushing.
Yeah, I'm with you. Already sung Jordan's praises earlier in the episode. Really, really high on his potential this year. I think he's going to be great. Another potential All ACC guy this season. He's going to be really, really solid for the Pack. Receiving wise, last year was Casey Concepcion leading the Pack in receiving, and by a very, very comfortable margin. I think it's going to be much, much closer than that. But I'm going to stick with KC here personally. I think he will still lead the Pack in receiving yards, but I think it's going to be very, very close. I think maybe my hot take with this is I don't think NC State will have an 1,000-yard receiver, despite the fact that I think there are going to be a lot of passing yards to be hauled in this season. I think it's just going to be a little more distributed, but I could see KC still leading the Pack with about like 800 yards, and again, maybe reaching that double-digit touchdown mark. Noah, what do you say here?
Yeah, I think KC definitely leads it. And if we're going to make like a little mini question off of this, I don't think he leads a team in receiving touchdowns like he did a year ago, though. If he had 10, I think Noah Rogers will claim that title. But I do think KC gets overall yardage. Just the amount of times they'll get on the ball. I mean, he's so good in space. He'll find ways to make plays. And he'll have easily – I'll go with – you know what? KC will top his receiving yardage from a year ago. So at least 900 yards or more. That's what I'm going with. Hot take.
I like it. No, I'm a fan of that one. Because like we said, it just could be a lot more open for the guy this year. He's not going to have the same burden, not going to have all of the defense's focus. That's something that, like, I don't know if we talk enough about, but it's just kind of ridiculous that by the end of the year, he was still putting up all of these numbers. I look at the UNC game particularly as one where by then everyone knew how good KC was, but they could not stop him. It didn't matter if you were double or triple teaming the guy. He was going to get his big plays. He was going to score his touchdowns. Part of that is credit to Robert and I and the rest of the offensive staff, but part of that is just credit to KC's brilliance. So I agree. He could definitely surpass last year's total and just continue his ascent as a star for the Wolfpack. Tackles. It's an interesting one. NC State loses its top 2 tacklers. So who's going to take over that mantle?
Sean Brown. He was the 3rd leading tackler, I believe, last year.
He was.
I believe he's in a position to make plays. He was in the secondary making a lot of tackles. Now he's in a position a level in front of them. He'll make plenty of plays. I think this is a seamless transition. I do think, though, doesn't run away with it like Peyton did. I will say that. It's going to be a lot more balanced.
Yeah.
A lot more balanced.
Yeah. I think it's going to be any of the 3 linebackers. Hot take. But I agree. I'd give Sean Brown the edge there. If I was going to pick someone second, I'd probably go with Fordham. And if we're going someone outside of linebackers, look out for DK Kaufman. The Auburn safety transfer will be playing free safety for the Pack this year. So he'll spend some time in the box. He's taking over what Sean Brown did last year, right? And he's a physical player, has like 6 forced fumbles over the past 3 seasons. Just a really physical safety who embraces contact, can cover 2, but I really like what he's going to bring to the Pack in run support. And I could see him being, especially if the linebacker core does not live up to, the expectations and the lofty standards that NC State has, there's going to be more stress put on the safeties like there was at times last year. And I think DK Kaufman is going to be a veteran, reliable presence who could be, like what Sean Brown did last year. He could be like 3rd, maybe up there with an impressive tackle total in his final season of college football. But that's more me just kind of arguing against Sean Brown being the pick because everyone really thinks Sean Brown's going to be awesome. So I think he is the clear pick to lead the Pack in tackles. But keep an eye out on the other linebackers and DK Kaufman as well, I would say. What about interceptions, Noah? Aiden White has done a good job in that department. Devin Boykin has been a turnover machine over the past couple of years. Who's going to lead the Pack in interceptions this year?
Brandon Cisse.
Yeah.
Called him the breakout guy. I think he's going to get targets, and I think he'll have 4 to 5 interceptions. It's saying a lot for a guy who's going to be in his first starting role as a college player, but he's going to just get targeted so much on this defense, and I think he'll be able to step up to the plate. And, if you get 4 interceptions, that's a breakout year, and that will put him on the ACC, all ACC teams, and that will put him on NFL teams' radar going into next year if he can put together a 4 to 5 interception year.
Definitely. Like we mentioned earlier in the show, just ball production. It's going to be there for him. Because of that, I think teams are going to figure out that Brandon Cisse is really good, really fast, and they're almost going to be forced to throw at Aiden White. And because of that, I still think Aiden White's going to lead the team in interceptions because just like I think we should honestly break this down on the website, but just like the percentage of targets where Aiden White either defends the pass or comes up with an interception has to be really impressive. Has to be one of the better marks in the country because he just didn't get thrown at a lot last year, but he rarely got beat. So he's someone that if it does end up being a case where they're having to throw at him a little more, I think he could have another really, really big year and show folks that obviously he came back for another year, wasn't happy with his draft stock. I think he's going to come in and have something to prove, and he could show NFL scouts that he is a potential day 1, day 2 pick at cornerback, like it certainly looked like after his sophomore year. So Aiden White, another big season from him. Wouldn't be surprised if it's Brandon Cisse at all. I think that's a good pick as well. All right, the one last big prediction, Noah. NC State's record for 2024. It's something I think we've asked each other about for the past 8 months. It's something we've gone back and forth on as they've continued to add talent, add skill. But I'm putting you on the spot right now. Final call. This is it. I'm not letting you change it after this, Noah. Give me your final record prediction for NC State in the 2024 season.
Gonna be realistic. I know some people, when we're realistic, they say we hate NC State, and then when we pick NC State to win, they say we look through red-colored glasses. So everyone won't be happy, but I think 9-3 is what's going to happen this year. I just think that this is a team that's really talented. It's a great year. It's a good bowl game. But I just think 9-3 through the regular season. Obviously, we're not going to worry about the bowl games right now. We're just picking the 12-game schedule we see in front of us, and I just think that hence the Tennessee and Clemson games are just going to be a little too much. And then I think down the stretch, it's hard to close any season 7-0, especially the late bye week, as we've talked about, 8 weeks into the year. This was a team by the bye week at week 7, after Duke, this team was gassed. They needed a break, and they didn't get it until after that game, and Duke handled them in Durham. I'm worried that this is a team that could happen again, right? 8 weeks into a season before you get your first of 2 open weeks. I mean, that's a long time. Your second open week comes pretty quickly after November. I think they'll feel better about that one. But that first one, end of October, kind of worried about it. So I'll go 9-3. They'll make a bowl game, but miss the college football playoff.
I get it. The reasoning is sound. The logic all makes sense to me. But I don't care. This is the year. This is the year, Wolfpack fans. They're going 10-2. They're going to the ACC championship. I think they're going to split the Tennessee and Clemson games. I lean towards them winning the Clemson game over the Tennessee game, but I think they are going to split that, and then I think they will drop one of Cal or Georgia Tech. Cal seems like the more likely one to me right now, kind of based off of the rest and just worn down nature that they're probably going to be feeling like at that point in the year. But because of that, I think, especially if they beat Clemson, they will have a shot to go in to the ACC championship game and play for a spot in the college football playoff. I think we're going to see the Pack in Charlotte this year for a second time after, of course, they play Tennessee there early in the year. I think they'll be back for the ACC championship game. The Pack will reach the elusive 10-win mark, and I don't know what's going to happen in Charlotte, but I think they will have a shot to compete for a spot in the first 12-team college football playoff. So put me down for 10-2. Noah's at 9-3. Either way, a lot of wins coming for Wolfpack fans this year. So get excited, folks. We are really, really almost there. Our Western Carolina preview episode will be up next week. We're going to have plenty of Western Carolina preview stuff on the website. That's thewolfpacker.com if you missed it at the top of the show. So go check it out. And we will talk to you all next week, and it'll be game week. Thank you all for following along with our preseason coverage this year. We really appreciate it. We're very excited to cover this football season, and we will see you next week. Thanks for watching.